Aloha, everyone. Welcome to week number 8, the final week in Speech 151. Great job making it here. This final week is on listening, and it'll be a pretty quick video today. There aren't a lot of assignments. There's only, what do we got here? We got 2 assignments today, this week. We got 1 quiz on Chapter 8, listening, and then 1 flip grid, what, so what, now what. Very quickly, again, look at the learning outcomes for the course. You can read the introduction. I should go back to that. Listening is really important. So we put it last, we save it for last, because we kind of think we know how to do it, but we could always get better at it, all of us. So you look here, the last learning goal of the course is to demonstrate effective listening skills. You've actually been doing this with the 2 Padlet posts, giving feedback on your peer speeches. Great job. Those look really good. Hopefully you're learning to use that RISE feedback model in daily life, maybe at work or in your relationship with your friends, your kids, giving feedback, inquiring, enhancing, or elevating. So that's what this week's about. It's a pretty quick week. Again, take the quiz, click on here. You can take all the quizzes if you missed anything up until the last day of class. You can retake those. And hopefully, again, you're reading the book. Hope that helped you out. Let me know in the comments or evaluation what you thought of the book. I think it's a great book myself. See if it was helpful. Hopefully, you're reading along with it. And this is your final flip grid for the course. In 1 to 2 minutes, think about the whole course, and you have to answer these 3 questions. What, so what, and now what? If you've done some other class, you kind of know how this goes, but if you haven't done these before, they're kind of fun. This is not mine. This is from Dartmouth University, I believe. So what did you learn in this class? Number 2, so what? Why does it matter? Why are you required to take a speech communication class in college? What's the purpose, right? Why? And then now what? What will you do with this information? So be creative with this one. You don't have to say, right, like I'm going to use it to teach others. You could disagree with it. You could think about it more. You may go back and look into something deeper, right? So what will you do with it? You don't have to be profound about it, but really think about, now that I've learned this, maybe I'll use it in an interview, right? Anything you can think of. So again, this last video is a what, so what, now what. And the more you can include others and adapt to us as usual, the better. And then when you're done with that, you're finished with the course. Feel free to go back to your grade book, look in there, and see if I missed any assignments. It's very possible nowadays. The La Lima thing got kind of messed up on me. I think I put zeros in if you missed something, and then if you resubmitted it came in. But then sometimes if I graded it before you submitted it, when you submitted it, it might have made it a 0. So I'm not sure. So go back, and the best way is if email me directly and send me a link to wherever you posted your work, maybe a discussion forum or Flipgrid or Padlet. Just send me the link before the last day of class, and there's no late penalties. We can catch up on everything. So that's it for the instructions for this week. If you've been following along, great job. It's not an easy class, again, 8-week intensive course. So if you're falling behind a little bit, again, you got a week to catch up. If you're done, awesome. Remember, once you have 80 points, you have a B. Once you have 90 points, you have an A, so forth and so on. Thank you for being here. I hope you enjoyed the class. If you want to stick around, give me, I don't know, 5 or 6 minutes to talk about this last chapter on listening, because I find it really interesting, okay? If you're not going to stick around, again, thanks for taking the class. I watched the videos. They're really good. All the posts, everything, very interesting. Well done. Okay, hang on a second here. Okay, last video lecture for 151. Hopefully you've been enjoying these, or they're helping you a little bit. If you're more of, we'll talk about that, of an auditory listener versus reading a book. Hopefully they helped you. Let me know. So this last chapter is on listening. Let me click in here. And I'll try to go through it pretty quickly. Again, you can read the book, but if you're not, let's just really kind of learn something about listening in our last module here. So why is it important, right? You read all these studies, you see things out there. And what a lot of employers want, they want people who are good communicators. But when you look into what does it mean to be a good communicator, yes, a lot of it is speaking, but probably studies show like 90% of our daily communication is really listening, right? To consuming, whether it's social media or to our friends. So just look at this list very quickly. It makes a lot of sense. It helps to confirm others. So just by listening to people, right? How's your day? Turning to them and listening to them, eye to eye, it makes people feel better, right? Self-image, all those things we talked about. Just listening helps to confirm them. Obviously, it helps us to understand, helps us to learn, and these 2 are really interesting. It promotes civic engagement. Think about all the stuff going on in the past. Oh man, since what was it, the Obama the birth certificate thing? Either way it goes, right? In the past 20 years, look how little civic engagement we have, because we're angry and we're not listening to each other. So the invitational speeches, folks, you look on some up, they're just awesome. There's stuff from abortion to COVID, all kinds of stuff in there. And you're doing a really nice job inviting us to think about this, to engage This is civic engagement, right? And promote social justice, right? Just by listening, I think it makes the world better. Okay, quick facts. Again, before you took the class, that we had that first chapter, people thought, oh, I totally know this stuff. This is easy. And as we got deeper, people go, oh, aha, now I got this term. So very quickly, think about this. Listening is not the same as hearing, right? All of us can hear. I can hear, maybe you heard that ambulance coming by just now. But hearing, again, look there, it's a vibration. It's a physical process where I can hear something. Maybe you can hear your air conditioner. You can hear the rain, the wind. Listening is very different. It's this process, thoughtful attention. We'll get there in a minute. But it's not natural, right? It's something you really got to work on, actually. So this is the example when I used to work on the Windward campus before the pandemic hit. There, if you've been there, there's just tons of feral cats and tons of feral chickens around, and it's pretty funny because you kind of learn a lot about animals and how animals communicate. And then you think about this, listening is not a natural process, and there you have it. Go and watch a group of chickens. You know, there'll always be one rooster trying to get people together, and the chickens won't hooey up and all sit there and listen to the main chicken, right? Same with the cats. I was saying, but for these cats, they're like little baby lions. If these cats teamed up, right, they could take down a chicken, or some of the chicks, but these cats can't go meow, meow, and then all the cats hooey up and listen to the one cat. It's not a natural thing to really listen, right? So that's kind of a odd example, but think about it. And listening is influenced by culture as well. In some cultures, right, we're asked to, when you listen, to stare people right in the eye. In other cultures, it depends on the power. If you have a lower power status, you shouldn't stare people in the eye, right? Some cultures, when your parents are lecturing you, you're supposed to maybe, yes sir, yes ma'am. In other cultures, I recently found out, you don't say anything. You just stare down and there's not one peep coming out of you. And that's normal. That's how you listen, right? So it's defined by culture. Okay, these are fun. These are, again, we know when we're not listening, or we know when someone's being a bad listener, but kind of until we take this class, you kind of don't really know, like, can't put your finger on it, right? So here's a couple. Number one is pseudo-listening, listening interference, why we're not good. So pseudo-listening is really pretending to listen. So if you've ever spoken to, like, a child, they're telling you about their favorite game or anime, and you're on the phone there, you're not really listening. You're oh, that's nice, sweetie. That. Oh yeah, really. And you're fake listening is what we're doing. So we do that quite a bit. Think about same thing in class when we had face-to-face class. There would be people just staring at me. I don't know if they're listening, or people would be on their phone typing something, or they're doing their work and they nod every now and then, but we're not really listening. Selective listening is another really good one. When we used to drive a lot, how many of you would turn on the radio, right, in the morning, and you're only listening for the traffic? Right? H1 is backed up to IAEA, Oh, and then you start listening. So that's selective listening. Defensive listening, if you've been in an argument or with a loved one and you're defending yourself. You're not really trying to listen, truly get the point what the other person's saying. You're just trying to think of ways that you can attack the person. So it's defensive listening, right? When we get in an argument, we do this a lot. Stage hogging, this is major, because I'm a teacher, I'm a professional stage hog. We can do this for hours, right? We can talk and talk and talk and talk, but as a listener or as a student, how do you feel? So we're kind of adapting nowadays, right? Here's a 10-minute, a 15-minute video, because I know maybe we can't listen that long. But as a listener, do you want to participate when someone's talking the whole time? So if you read the book, there's some very good examples in there. But stage hogging could simply be like a friend, right? And your friend comes up to you and they say, oh, how's your day going? You go, oh, it's not so good. I had this problem. And they go, oh, you had a problem. Me too. Or maybe it's in class and it's the one student who raises their hand and it becomes an interaction between the student and teacher the whole time. Or at work, right? So stage hogging is major. So think about that. A lot of the times we think we're good communicators because we can speak well, right? Or we do well in interviews, or we can like give a 5, 10, 20-minute speech. But it doesn't mean that we listen well. We could be total stage hogs, right? And never have to listen, which isn't so productive. The last one there, technology, obviously. So many things going on now. Think about on Zoom. Maybe you can't even zoom in, so we can't listen. When you're listening to some of the videos, maybe there's background noise, or there's something scratchy, or the audio doesn't go on. So technology matters more and more nowadays when we listen. Okay, another quick 3 points here. So how do we listen? This is kind of important too. There's 3 types, and the 2 we kind of know, like auditory, like some of us listen with our ears, and then visual, some of us listen with our eyes, right? So if I learn not that doesn't sound nice, but a unique name, right? It's spelled very differently, and I hear it. I have to see how it's written, and I have to hear you say it for me to remember your name. Now, some of us are very experiential listeners, so even by reading and by seeing it and listening, I still have a hard time getting it. So what the example I think of is one, maybe like martial arts, like Tai Chi. I could not teach you Tai Chi online. Maybe I could, right? But you'd have to feel it. Think about another one. Those of you who jump in the ocean, think about surfing. Could you teach someone to surf strictly through videos and reading? Or would you have to go out there with them in the ocean, and as they experience the bumps and putting their head under the whitewater, you're talking to them, and now they're really listening. So think about that. Some of us maybe do struggle with these online courses because we need to be there, experiential listeners. Very interesting. Okay, a couple more reasons why it's not your fault we're bad listeners. One is message overload. So sometimes there could just be too much going on, right? An action, auctioneer, and not only that, nowadays we've got this going on, we've got our other computer going on, you've got your phone going off, you've got people you got to call, all kinds of stuff. Sometimes it's too complex, sometimes it's too simple. So think about this. I think it's in this book, they talk about the human mind can actually process 500 to 600 words per minute. So when you look at your pharmaceutical ad at the very end, the commercial there, may cause vomiting, diarrhea, and death. I got it, right? But sometimes when we're listening to humans like myself talk here on these videos, I do speak kind of quickly. I think you understand. We can comprehend so quickly when a normal human speaking like 90 to 120 words a minute, it's not enough. It's too simple, right? So think about that. Sometimes in certain channels like this, some of you are speaking much more quickly, and that's okay because we can rewind and go back and forth, right? So sometimes too simple, sometimes too complex. These all make sense as well. Sometimes it's too formal, right? If I'm walking through Kalihi in the middle of the night, hey bro, oh, how are you doing, kind sir? Probably not, right? So not too formal. Again, if you go to a job interview, and you folks all know this, not too casual. Sometimes you'd want to be, depending on the job. Non-inclusive language is really interesting. If you notice in my writing and in these videos, one habit I try to get rid of, many years ago, is to say you guys, you guys, you guys, you guys, you guys. We all assume it means everyone, but if I were to say this would be non-inclusive as well, right? Okay, you gals, you gals, you gals, you get to, oh. So spotlighting is kind of there too. Like if you said, oh, I had this female doctor or this male nurse, or I had this Asian American teacher, right? We're spotlighting things there. So that can cause interference, right? You think about it when we're talking language, that's like semantic noise. Just the words we choose may throw people listening off. And then also verbal clutter, all these other words, la, la, la. Okay, a couple quick tips here and done. How to listen carefully. And here are just some tips for you, right? If you listen to this. Number one, eliminate the distractions. So when my son comes home and I want to find out how his day went, I put my computer to sleep, I turn around and I look at him and I try to get rid of those distractions to really listen, right? Use effective communication. So everything you've learned in this class, right? From listening to your nonverbals, to the words you use, to how you think about yourself when you talk to people. Offer feedback, just like the RISE model, right? Reflect, inquire, suggest if you can or if it's appropriate, and then try to enhance or elevate if you want to keep going, right? Ask for clarification. That's another one too, especially in interpersonal. In 181, we talk a lot about this. If you're not sure there's conflict, ask, find out. Okay. So here's some really useful tips for how to be a little more effective at listening. And here's a final slide in our course on personal and public speech, how to listen effectively. And it goes back to chapter 1, right? Dr. Cindy Griffin in your textbook talks about civil and ethical communication. You keep going, why? In today's day and age, it doesn't matter. Yeah, because we don't see it. When you look out there at everything out there on the internet, how much civil and ethical communication do you see? So the final thing we're going to close on here is listening. And it sounds funny, but consider and try to understand views that are different from your own. So you see so many views out there, and the scary thing is, with new algorithms and apps, we're only going to see stuff that we agree with, right? So that's kind of the hard part. But maybe with education or other venues, hopefully popping up, you can start seeing and then really trying to make an effort to understand, like invitational speaking at the end, right? If they're being persuasive, maybe you can still see their side from the invitational side. And this last one here, okay? Compare and contrast your beliefs and values with others. That's all, right? Look around the world, whether it's about yourself and how you see yourself, how we see others, what we think about success, anything. Really, really listen and really think about our beliefs and values and how everyone has them, and is one right, is one wrong. And if we really started listening to each other, how much more acknowledge and recognize what others feel, and how much safer would they feel to express their own voices as well. And if we were all expressing our own voices, it'd be a wonderful world. So thank you very much for expressing your voice in your Flipgrid videos and the discussion forums as well. Best of luck to you in everything. Take care.